Yo, 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 what is going on, guys? It's your boy Andy back at you with another video. This about to be a video going over the month of July. So July was an interesting month in the sense that this is the first time I'm only going to be talking about one ticker. So LCLP is the ticker that I'm going to be talking about. OTC market, that was really the only stock that offered, you know, really good opportunity, I would say. So you had the entire market as a whole in the OTC market has been, relatively slow. It's actually been very slow. Like if you look at when you take a look at when you take a look at this calendar view over here, you can kind of see that, this I didn't trade much this month. Like there's a whole bunch of white days throughout the chart. You can kind of see um, you know, the past 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of the month, I only traded, 2 days. Just this day right here on the 19th, and then this day right here on the 26th. So it wasn't a whole lot of action, and I had to sit on my hands, for especially the last half of the month. Like you see these red days right here, these are smaller red days, not very significant. Besides maybe this one, I caught some slippage that day, but for the most part, there was just nothing going on. No volume, no range on none of these plays. It was just like I opened when the market opened up at 9:30 in the morning. Very little trades coming through, very little volume coming through. So I'm still grateful to be able to come out this month, still making $10,300. I'm really just trying to just keep it nice, slow and steady until wintertime. Wintertime. Wintertime, the market is the hottest from October to February. So my goal right now, and the goal for the guys that that I trade with, is to stay alive and stay in the game until wintertime comes around, because we know that the wintertime can be a very special market, even if it's only a fraction of what it was last time. So I'm just gonna kind of get into some of these stats real quick. The my total gain and loss my total gain was $10,245. Um, Average daily gain is $931. So on average, every single day that I placed a trade, I came out with $931, after fees. So I'm pretty happy about that. My average winning trade is $1,278. Average losing trade is $545. So the average win, is more than twice the average loss. So that's exactly what I want to be seeing, every single month. 61% win percentage, which is pretty good, even though I talk about that in most of my videos, that you know you can be winning a lot percent wise, but if your wins um, are very small compared to if your losers are very big compared to your winners, then it's not going to matter what your percent gain is. You want to focus on maximizing your average wins and minimizing your average losses. So the percent gain isn't really too important. Um, but the percent gain can tell you, what, if you're choosing the right plays, if you're choosing the right setups. My largest gain, over here, 37.85. Largest loss, $1,800. So this largest gain is kind of misleading. The real largest gain was about 7 grand on this day right here on July 14th, but it was kind of split up between separate executions and stuff. So I'll talk about that later. And then my profit factor, like I say, I always want to have the profit factor above 2. Profit factor 3.68. Always want to have my profit factor above 2, because this profit factor means that I'm winning 3.6 times as much as I'm losing dollar wise. So let's round that up to 4. If let's say I had $400,000 in wins this month, then I had $100,000 in losses. So it's a measure of how efficient you're trading. So 3.68 is exactly what I want to see as far as that profit factor. So I'm just going to kind of get into the chart on LCLP. Like I told you earlier, that's the only ticker I'm going to be talking about. I traded that ticker. Let me see. Cool. Um, mm, 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 mm. Cool. I traded that ticker pretty much this on the 14th, the 15th, the 19th, and the 26th. So those 4 days were pretty good. And you're going to see, even though I was able to clear, a total of about 12 grand on the ticker itself, I completely, messed up the entire play. I should have been able to clear, 20, 30, 40 grand on that ticker alone. And I'll kind of get into, you know, how I played it and how I should have played it. So here we have LCLP, and as you know, coming from the all right, cool. So I'm back. As you know, like I talk about, in my videos, my bread and butter setup is these, these stocks that can get, good news, good catalyst, and just get huge volume, relative to, the other dates. And this LCLP, they came out with news. Life Clip's answer to a cryptocurrency market with a definitive agreement to acquire global blockchain and digital currency platform Belfix Group. So, they had good news. They got a pretty nice gap up, and what I noticed about this play right away is that it had huge volume. Like you can see the volume candle right here compared to all these other days in the past. It just doesn't even come close. And the range on this stock, um, it ran 1,200%, over 1,200% intraday. So this kind of reminded me of VDRM, and that's like one of the benefits that I get from you know having good memory and being here for a little bit of time is that right away I remembered that the volume on this stock, the chart on this stock, it looked exactly like VDRM from January, which is a stock that ran about 1,500% intraday. So it's the first green day. You got a catalyst, you got big volume, and the dollar volume was tracking very big early on, and I knew that this thing had the potential to do a whole lot just based off how it ran early in that morning. So it was nice to get this as a fresh ticker, and just a very straightforward play. Now, with these big runners, and this is the day that it ran. This is the day that the news came out. You can kind of see it gapped up a little bit, and then we open here and we start moving. Now it wasn't moving on huge volume, so I didn't when it first started moving. It wasn't until later around maybe like 10:30, 11 is when the volume started really to be really coming in hot, and I quickly realized like this thing has a lot of range to go. And when I realized that, I kind of adjusted how I was going to play it, and I didn't want to take a big loss on the front side of the move in case it had a big dip first. But I was very patient with it, and I'll kind of show you how I played it and how I should have played it. So I talk about this concept all the time. When you can go from you can make a switch from resistance to support. So it makes this what in my opinion is a huge move. Out of the gate in the first 15 minutes, you get 155% move on decent volume. It wasn't crazy or nothing like that, but it was the only thing that I had on watch, and it was the best looking play I've seen. So best looking play that was moving that day. So I left it alone through all of this action right here. But then what do I start to notice? The resistance, aka this high right here, becomes support over here. You can kind of see. when we break, let me see if I can try to make this a little bit clearer. All right, cool. So when we break this level right here, which was the high of that morning move, what happens? We get washed right back down. Then we come back up, and then you get this red candle, and we move back down again. So both times it fails for that, to hold the highs of that morning move. And then what do you have right here? The first time it decides to hold, boom. And then again right here, boom. So you get a double bottom right here. Let's say you start buying this after, it starts to confirm, when it breaks above, when it holds it this first time, you can take a buy there. But when it holds a second time, it's confirming. It's telling you, all right, we're ready to go higher because, we double bottomed, we have the volume, and we're staying, and we made a switch from resistance to support. And then you get a 40% move, right out of the right off of that double bottom. Cool. The next thing you see is the let's say that move right there, that 40% move after that double bottom, that's enough to make you a very good day. A good trade is 20%, 20, 25, 30%. Already, you had a very high odds setup early in the morning, and you got a chance to get 40% just off of that move right there. But you can obviously see, as I roll over the chart a little bit, that this stock offered so much more. This is probably the best runner that I've seen since January in VDRM, which was VDRM back in January that I showed you earlier. So anyways, I started to notice that just by watching the tape, watching the level 2, that's why there's certain things that can't be taught. You just have to have seen it plenty of times so that your brain just naturally becomes a pattern recognition tool to be able to see those types of stuff and interpret that data in a very quick manner so that you can, capitalize on the opportunities. So I was watching the sales, I was watching the tape, I was watching all that. And it just became very clear that there was some big buyers in this name, and that this thing had a lot of room to go. So after it makes this move, I'm kind of watching it. And what I like to do is draw my wedges, just a very tight line over the top. And usually when a stock is consolidating, what you want to see is generally like decreasing volume, which was also happening at the same time. So you can kind of see as it's downtrending, as it's consolidating, you also have decreasing volume up until right here. And then, what happens after that? It makes its move. And I was able to get a nice buy off of this right here very quickly. Only problem was that I wasn't too patient with it, and I only had probably, maybe a quarter of full size. So nothing significant at all. And I got like a nice 30% move selling into this move right here. That was my buy. I literally bought right here and then sold right here. I'll make the so that's my buy right there. And then, right here is my sell. 30% move, pretty stress-free, pretty quick, but I had a $10,000 position, which is like a quarter of my full size. So I locked in $3,000 there, and, I just kept it pushing. And then I completely, when I should have been holding for a bigger style move, this thing was just, trending, making nice higher lows and stuff like that. I completely missed out on this, just parabolic action, another 120% runner, 120% move in, what is that? About 20, 30 minutes. So I'm kind of annoyed that I missed out on this move right here, assuming even if I had, the small size that I had, the $10,000 position, if I would have held that, almost a 200% move, looking at, $20,000 just on that move. Now, if I had, my full size, then obviously it could have been a lot better. Here I'm going to come, but as you can see, that top right there is nowhere close to how high it ends up getting on the day. Still that top out was at 2.8 cents and ends up going all the way to 4.2 cents. So another almost 100% move from the highs of that move. So I'm not chasing, this action up in here. I'm just kind of letting this thing, develop, because after that parabolic action, I knew, a pullback was likely to be due. One thing I'll talk about here is the highest point that this stock ever reached was 0.0184. So I should be looking for, again, for it to start to hold that breakout level, and then, start to base there and push past it. So you'll kind of see I have a line drawn right here from this day, from February 24th, 2021, topped out right here, 0.0184, which is where I have my horizontal line drawn. Give me a second. I'm going to have to scroll back all the way to that day. Cool. And right during this consolidation period, like, these numbers and these levels hit perfectly. Like, it comes down after that parabolic move I was just talking about, and you get a perfect double bottom right here. One right here, one right here, right off of the breakout level. So that resistance, that 52-week high, that, all-time high level at 0.018, now flips and becomes support. It's the same exact concept that I talked about from this morning move. You get this parabolic action right here in the morning. That high is your resistance. And then later on, when it starts to hold that level, it becomes support. Same thing over here. The 52-week high level, we come down there and we bounce off of it once. That's my anticipation. And then we bounce off of it again. That's your confirmation right there. So I should have been having buys right there, but I didn't even notice that that was the 52-week high level. And normally I have, my 4 different monitors rolling. I have one monitor divided into 4 different time frames, so I can see all the different levels, especially the levels from the daily chart. But my computer was in the shop and I was getting it fixed, so I didn't have as many screens to be watching. I just kind of forgot to be switching in and out of my time frames, so I completely missed the buys down here. But it's all right, because we come in here, and one thing I'll talk about in the OTC market, I talk about all the time, is that sideways action. I'll call it kind of price neutralization, which is basically, when a stock starts going sideways, especially when it has volume, when it has a catalyst and everything like that. And keep in mind, at this point in the chart, I like the volume is confirmed on this, and I'm knowing that, it doesn't even matter what kind of size you want on this stock. There's so much volume happening that you could get 100, 200, 300K position size if you wanted to. But, one thing I talk about all the time is, my favorite buys intraday is when these things start going sideways perfectly. You can kind of see we're just trading very tightly between this channel. And the OTC market, what it's known for is the one directional nature of, the market. So when this thing starts going sideways, when it picks a side, it's going to go that way very, 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 very quickly. And it's going to go that way definitely. So what I should have been doing right here is buying, right as it made its move right here, which I did. I literally bought on this candle right here, right in this area, right before it broke out, because I saw the volume come in. And my risk level should have been, the bottom end of this channel, But I'll kind of show you what I did and how I messed up, because this would have, if I do this right, I could have been looking at a 20, 30K type of day. Let me show you. So this is my buy right here. This is that sideways action. And then I get up a lot right here, but this thing just retraces on me pretty hard. And instead of sticking to my plan, I saw all my unrealized gains start to wipe away. And, I didn't stick to my plan. I got too emotional, and I should have been holding this at least for break even, holding and being just risking off of this sideways action. But you can see my buys are right here. And then I end up selling some of them right here. And then I sell the rest of them completely dead bottom. And then what happens? It just starts to reverse on me. And I basically just have to watch this thing go from 2.5 cents to, 4.5, almost 4.5 cents completely without me. And not only did I butcher the buys on that, but on such a perfect setup and such perfect sideways action, especially with how much conviction I had on the play and knowing that it had so much room to run, I should have been slamming this thing with full size, which for me is a $40,000 position. And if I would have been able to hold, and stick to my plan for even a little bit of that, I'm looking at a 80%, 70%, 80% gain, potentially from, from those buys. Even if I sell it into, kind of this action right here, a 50, 60% gain, I'm still looking at an over 20 grand type of day instead of, what was a $7,000 day. So, even though I made 7 grand, which was my biggest green day yet, I'm always looking for what I could have did better. And I did a lot of things wrong on this play. So that kind of ended it for day one. It kind of had, after I made this parabolic action and started getting towards the end of the day, I left it alone. Now we come into day two. We come into day two of this play, and I wanted a gap up, but I didn't get it. I wanted a gap up. I wanted like a nice gap up, and then I wanted for either a morning spike or my dip and rip. So what happened was I didn't get the gap up, and lately I've been playing these morning moves, and I've only been playing them if they hold the green red level, which is the green red level is the previous day closing price, which was right here. And you can kind of see we open a little bit below it, but this thing still provides a 96% move off of the rip, which was my bread and butter setup, that day two morning move. Because like I talk about all the time in OTC land, there's no pre-market trading. So all the buyers and all the price action, everybody who learns about the news overnight, all that stuff has to get priced in the following morning. So what do I notice about this? I left it alone because it went red, but in the future, I'm not going to be doing that because, this thing comes down and it holds this 0.025. It holds that level. I talk about the whole cent, half cent levels, whole dollar, half dollar levels being key levels all the time. And it came down to that level and it just held it, completely perfectly. And it's also a very steady pullback. Just a very steady pullback and a nice rip. And the volume on this was absolutely crazy. So if I would have got my full size like I should have, I would have been able to get, even if I sold early, 50, 60%, just a small piece of this move, that's another 5-figure day easily. Instead, I kind of waited for this first pullback. I bought this dip right here, $20,000 position, sold it for 10%, made 2 grand and left it alone the rest of the day. But I'm going to kind of show you, why I'm going to be willing to play these high odds second day movers. Even when they don't hold green, red, or the previous day closing price perfectly. This is a video of my recap from January, and one of my best plays and one of the best rippers was, a stock that kind of dipped out of the open, and you can kind of see it goes a little bit below that green red level, which is right here, the previous day closing price, and then it just kind of rips, pretty largely. I think it provided a 50% rip out of the open. So if in the hottest market, that was working. I'm looking to be able to do that going forward, as long as it's very clear. I still want to see us, ideally high volume. You want to see it bottom out, um, and the level two start to stack up on the bid. You want to start to see, um, ideally it bounces off of a whole cent, half cent level, like maybe 1 cent, a cent and a half, 2 cent. You just want it to be very clear, and you don't want the dip out of the open to be like a crash. You want it very nice and steady. Like you can kind of see 1, 2, 3, 4 pullbacks, very healthy looking pullbacks. It doesn't look like a straight out panic. Here, the same thing. 1, 2, 3 healthy pullbacks, bottoms out, and then it starts to rip. So even though I made 12 grand on this ticker, the 12 grand on this ticker this month, I should have made, 30, 40, maybe even 50 grand on this ticker if I play it right. But it's always coulda, woulda, shoulda, that's trading. But next time this type of runner comes back around, I'm going to be more prepared for it than I was this time around. So, that's the goal. It's not to beat myself up about it. I want to be hard on myself, but also, just keep a level head and still just be ready for, what comes next. I'll kind of talk about one last play I had on it where I made a couple grand, July 26th. This thing kind of, it was doing absolutely nothing all day. Like it was just fading out of the open. You can kind of see on this day. And then on huge volume out of nowhere, this thing starts ripping. And one of my guys points it out to me on the call. And, I see it making all this move. I'm obviously not going to chase it. That's just one of the rules I got to keep me safe. And then what happens? I'm just waiting for the first pullback. And what happened was they tweeted that they're canceling the reverse split, which is kind of the opposite of diluting the stock. So it's a huge win for shareholders. And volume started coming in hot. Like you can see it made from when the news came out, 130% move, and that's why I love trading these penny stocks, is because you can get these percent gains so quickly. And what I started to notice was, picture perfectly at the 3 cent level, it was starting to reverse. So, I bought shares right here, and I kind of sold too early, right here. Took like a nice $2,000 win. Wish I would have had more size. Wish I maybe would have even held it a little bit longer and been able to sell up here. But it is what it is. Now, so that's pretty much, I think I covered everything. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything. Like this ticker was the only ticker that I made money on really this entire month. So I wish I could have made more on it, but the still grateful for a 5-figure month, bouncing back from that $1,600 month of last month. Now, the goal going into the rest of the year is, to just kind of take it steady and capitalize on the opportunities when they present themselves. This is summer trading, so it's known to be very slow. So I'm cool with not to making little to no money from now up until winter. Whatever happens, happens. But the goal is to just be prepared for these things when they come, and to stay in the game until this winter market shows up. That's when I think I can start to really hit, maybe even my first 6-figure month. So that's really all I have. I just kind of finished year one. Midway through this month was me getting through year one of trading. So super grateful to be able to. I made a little over 100 grand in that first year. Started last July, finishing midway through this July. I was able to clear 100 grand. Goal for year two, which just started, is to make $500,000 for this second year. So I'm very optimistic, very ambitious, and the course, I was probably a little bit ambitious with saying I was going to get rolled out by the end of the summer, but the course is underway. I'm just focused on making it very, very quality, very, very quality for, people who only have maybe a couple $1,000s or something like that and want to be able to build an account out of PDT above the 25 grand mark and start making, the transition into maybe becoming like a full-time trader. So, that's really the bulk of what I wanted to talk about. Like normal, you guys can hit me in the comment section um, if you have any questions or anything like that. But the course, it'll definitely be done before the end of this year. I'm going to try to go hard on it now so that I can ideally get it done while the market is slow. Um, so that just, I mean, the main takeaways from this month, is just really, I wanted to show you guys how to trade a huge runner like that, 1,000% runner. A little bit of an adjustment to my day two setup. Going to be willing to play it even if it doesn't hold that previous day closing price perfectly. If the other things that I mentioned, check in. And you want to be showing up every single day, guys. Like if you're serious about building an account, you can't be showing up twice a week, once a week. You want to show up every day because you never know when that A plus setup is going to show up. This was a completely dead month, but the A plus setup came and it came pretty quickly, and I want to be ready for that. If I had taken the day off or something like that, if I wasn't prepared, that $7 grand day, I could have missed that, and then I'm looking at a $3,000 month instead of a $10,000 month. Also, another thing I want to mention is, the Biden administration has said that they don't want to lock down, with the whole new Delta variant. But if things get really bad and they decide that they're going to go into like another, nationwide lockdown, you want to be very prepared because I missed the majority of the Corona market last year, which started in March. So from March to July, I completely missed that. But if we lock us down because of this new variant, you could see the craziness and just that, euphoric price action in the OTC market happen again with these COVID plays. Even if they don't lock us down, if a couple of these companies start getting, some good news, then maybe they can combat this Delta variant or something like that. You can see some crazy stuff start to happen. So while summer trading and it's slow, you want to still be prepared. You want to still be ready because these plays can show up at any time. And if we do go into lockdown, then this might be, the first. It might be a new best time to be, a penny stock trader, OTC stock trader. So you guys hit me in the comments, like, subscribe, share this video if you think it could help somebody that maybe accelerate their income, accelerate their life. Well, yeah, let's say, guys.